Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very senior professional from India, Mr. Brajesh Singh. Brajesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Brajesh is the president of R3D Little India. He is the vice chair of the India Uzbekistan Investment Corridor. He is, in his own words, an agropreneur, and we're going to talk about that. And he's a passionate wildlife photographer. So, Brajesh, before we get into what you're doing, tell me a little bit about your journey and what took you to the consulting world.
So it's been a long journey, Ashutosh. I think 25 years in corporate, and I think 43 years in this world. Consulting is a very recent hat which I recently started working with. For a long, more than 2 decades, I've been part of the other side of table. Started as an off-role resource with a computer education company. You must have heard about AppTech.
Mm-hmm.
And then the journey started way back in 96 after my 12th examination.
Mm-hmm.
And, then moved into telecommunications sector for a long time. Have worked closely with some brilliant and fantastic people, the leaders today that you see across the horizon. And from prepaid to postpaid, anything under the umbrella of telecom is what I've been able to sell or work together. And then realized and moved into telecom infrastructure.
Okay.
Been there and seen almost all big transactions. Then moved into infrastructure and utility firm.
Okay.
So my last assignment, if you say from non-consulting background, was with SL Group, Dr. Subhash Chandra's company, and I was spearheading the operations of a company called SL Utilities. And we were into power distribution, water distribution, also supported into gas distribution. So that's been journey, being part of entire B2C, B2B business. I think, and I think 2 years back, before the COVID hit the world, I was contemplating the next move in career. And I was just realizing that, having accumulated all the experience of more than 20 years, where should I go? And then this opportunity came my way.
Fantastic. So you're also the vice chair of the India Uzbekistan Investment Corridor. Tell me a little bit about your role here and what are the opportunities in Uzbekistan?
So before I think I'll tell you about my role here, I think let me also put things in perspective. Why this corridor? Okay. We were discussing in a like-minded people's group there. And I think Afghanistan situation was getting worse then. And since we had fantastic relationship in pro-Taliban situation, I think we were also discussing about what is going to happen if Afghanistan is going to be taken away from the kind of reform it was seeing. Mr. Manish Prabhat, who is currently the ambassador of India's ambassador in Uzbekistan, he happens to be part of a friend circle. One of my friend who's eminent lawyer and environment conservationist called Sudhir Mishra. And Sudhir and Manish was also part of that. We thought Uzbekistan is going to be a better destination, more likely friendly nation in the change scenario if that happens. And unfortunately, all that happened in Afghanistan, and we were already working closely. We had meeting with the Uzbekistani ambassador to India, so we had a very fantastic support. We thought to create a corridor where both, industrialists from the both nation can leverage this opportunity. And I think there are a lot of similarity, a lot of things we have common.
Correct.
In terms of a lot of traces of our culture, though, religiously it may not seem very appropriate, but if you look at the way they behave, they live, they consider, they consume. So a lot of things are very, very common between India and Uzbekistan. In fact, one of the prominent, restaurant in India is named Bukhara.
Correct.
Story behind Tashkent, as you already know, we had an unfortunate incident, but I think both countries go back on old lineage. So we thought this can be a right opportunity. We had meeting between both the ambassadors coming at one platform, and this corridor was formed. Sudhir was kind to give me a role of vice chair because my job was to bring industry on board and actually explore opportunity how, participants from both nations can leverage what we have to offer. So India has a lot to offer in tourism or also in many more sectors are promising. I think I can't explain about each sector that we're talking about. And similarly, we have some very prominent areas in Uzbekistan which can really leverage with regard to like hospitality, healthcare. So the transaction started. And, we had 1 or 2 visits also there. Now I think this is the corridor has really matured.
I'm in complete agreement. I've been to Uzbekistan twice, on 5-6 day trips, more as a tourist and to play a little golf and so on. But, it's an amazing country, from a tourism perspective, also for Indians.
Yes.
3 hours away, and then you've got Samarkand, Bukhara,
yes,
Tashkent, and when I tell people there are bullet trains running, they're quite shocked.
Yeah, I think economically they are better than what we are today. Whatever could have been the situation there, government is now opening up. The democracy is as fresh as of any other new nation.
Right.
It's just less than a decade old, and they are now open to attract, invite, welcome people very graciously. Sectors are also promising now. Auto sector, for that matter, I would say. The healthcare and hospitality sector is also. So they are looking forward this infrastructure investment to come in from India. And I personally, has started engaging and reaching out to a couple of Indian entrepreneurs. They are also finding it really very, very lucrative destination to invest.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So let me now move to your other passion of being an agropreneur.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit, and obviously this means that you must be investing money in agriculture.
So not that way, Ashutosh. I think, I'm not sure whether this is the term I coined, but I think I was talking to some of my friends when I was doing agriculture. So what are you doing currently, Brajesh? So I said, I'm doing agriculture. Oh, so from entrepreneur to agropreneur.
Okay.
So this is how the term, coined up. This started during my transition from corporate world to consulting world. I decided to move out of cities because, it was a long career of 20 years and I was really wanting to, I would say, live with my passion. I have a passion of doing wildlife photography. So this is where I thought, we'll do something in life. We'll wander around. So I took a break briefly and went to a place where in my partnership, I'm running a small boutique lodge in a place called Kanha Tiger.
Yeah.
So this is where I was there and the COVID came. So I had nothing to do for a couple of months. I managed to get a telecommunication network there through my resources and people I know in telecom sector. So when the communication started from forest, I said, what to do? Because I have around 18-20 acres of land around. We had no other work to do, so for a person like me who've been busy all across the last 20 years. So I had a little piece. I said, let's build it around. And then, we developed that land. We put drip irrigation system, learned a lot of things using Google, using YouTube. And I said, why not? Let me try this. So first year, and we got a lot of support from the locals who used to be former Naxals or tribal people. They came forward. For them also, this was a new thing. Somebody coming and investing, they got employment opportunity. I got a lot of people to work together. And I had enough free time to do this. So it was basically a learning process for me. One curve of agriculture. And I come from the same background. My ancestral place, people used to do agriculture, and I've seen very closely. I have my own share of working in farm during my childhood. So it was not new to me, but I think I was trying to do it more a professional way. So we started using drip irrigation system, and we got around 2.5 acre land, and we planted saplings of green chilies. It's been commendable, yield. Yeah. Not in terms of money, but in terms of learning, in terms of building, and more. What was more meaningful for me was that during the COVID, I was able to provide employment to more than 20 people consistently.
Correct.
Trust me, I have seen this very closely, Ashutosh. How in 1 year their life has fundamentally changed. So people who used to consume mahua liquor every morning, they used to come to my farm, and then they gave up the liquor. Now they're getting daily wages, which is a security for them. They're getting food there. I'm also learning a lot of things with them. Yield is happening. So, I also started learning what kind of pesticide to be taken to put, how you can prevent crops to be, go wasted. So a lot of things happen. I mean, I can't really explain the entire process.
But, a follow-up question to a top consultant who's also an agricultural entrepreneur is, when you wear your consulting hat, what have been some of your learnings as an agricultural entrepreneur from what you call a small piece of land, which is 20 acres?
Okay. a small piece of land, 20 acre. I said a small piece of 2 acre out of 20 acre.
Okay, I stand correct.
One thing which is very, very important and very, I would like to highlight this is that the greatest learning is that you have to put your skin into the game.
Yeah.
You just cannot do this via sending an email or sending a text or calling some people. Please do do this job in my farm. So you have to get down to the field. Second, more important is you should know how to roll on the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
Third, most important, a person who's not as qualified, so-called, as you, but knows the subject. So you please be greater, be open to learn from them because they teach you a lot of things.
Right.
I did not know more about farming. I only could get from some information using the social media platforms or anything there. But what I was taught by the people who are not even educated. So 3 fundamental things I learned. Person who does not wear any consulting cap also can teach you a lot of things. You just be right learner.
Yeah.
And I think I've been firm believer of a concept like that. You should know people like people. I've always been my strong believer in my entire life that I have been a people guy, people manager. Connecting them emotionally has given me a lot of solace, I would tell you. So that was something which I really learned. And I've hardly seen any attrition in last 2 and 3 years.
Amazing.
In fact, I've got people coming in, girls who are getting married. So instead of running away, they're actually bringing their husband to come to the work. Wow. So that's what I've seen.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Let me now move to your other passion, which is wildlife photography. Tell me about this passion and some of the interesting photographs and you've taken in different parts of the world.
My photography journey started formally somewhere in beginning of 2010 or I think late of 2010. I was working with a company called American Tower Corporation. My job was very, very hectic. I was traveling all across. It was a peak period of telecom, and then came one unfortunate verdict of cancellation of licenses.
Yeah.
So obviously the biggest pressure was on telecom infrastructure company because you had already invested so much of money. I was running around. My health started deteriorating. I did not realize. And one day I literally collapsed in office because of the hypertension and many more issues. My doctor advised me to go take some break and at least unwind myself. And that unwinding actually happened. I saw somebody using a camera and I liked the voice of the shutter when he was clicking. So I thought, let's buy a camera. I went to buy a camera, and along with camera came an offer to join a group. I joined the group, and in next 10 days I landed in Bandhavgarh.
Okay.
And we were there for 4 or 5 days. In fact, I had 6 safaris. In 4 safari, I could not saw. I mean, not in a tiger, but though a lot of species I spotted. My 5th safari, I saw a tail of a tigress. And the 6th safari, I saw a brilliant sighting of a tigress. And that's where my wildlife journey started. And I think it's been now good 12 years. I've traveled all across, particularly in India. Have done some share of my photography. And, wherever the opportunity, I'm trying to play my role in doing whatever little I could do in wildlife conservation also. My wildlife... Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
My wildlife took me to Kanha. That passion took me to Kanha, and I was in Kanha. And then suddenly, I hope I will end up living the rest of my retirement life in Kanha only.
Amazing, amazing. So, for my viewers and listeners, what is the kind of equipment you acquired first? And I'm sure over the last 12 years, you must have now got some really professional equipment. So, tell me about the equipment that you've been buying.
I started with a Sony CyberShot small camera, point and shoot. But that was like, most of us used to keep in our family.
Point and shoot.
Point and camera. Wildlife, when I started, I bought a Canon 550D. And it was pretty costly then, those days. In 2010, when I was spending 60,000 bucks on buying a camera, it was damn expensive. But then, it's like passion of you, a goal for, so
correct.
Absolutely same. So you have a passion and you are living with it. Gradually we kept buying 1 or 2 good lenses, then upgrading the cameras. So my last purchase is a Canon 1DX with some credible lenses. I think I can buy a small size of car if I really try, a good luxury car. So that's kind of investment I have made. But having said that, I think the role of camera equipment is less in wildlife photography. It's more about your inquisitiveness, your patience, and in your obviously timing that you have, how you observe the behavior of the animal. It has given me a lot of learning, a lot of teaching indeed, Ashutosh. I've become more passionate and also become more patient as well.
Wow. And my next question is that, do you exhibit some of these in open exhibitions, or do you keep them private for yourself?
Yeah, I did. I think with the group I was working initially, when they took me to the wild, a couple of my photographs were displayed. Some of them were sold also. Then I think I am there on social media platforms. Have never tried selling them consciously. It is something which I try to keep gifting to my friends, because I think those are a special moment. Instead of buying some costly gift, I rather prefer to get one of the good photograph that I believe is good moment, get it framed and gift to my friends.
Amazing. So now let me move once more and come back to R3D Little.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about ADL, the work that you're doing here, and the kind of businesses that you work with.
So R3D Little, Ashutosh, because you come from the professional background, but many people in India do not know about it. But those who know consulting, they know R3D Little.
Correct.
If I may say, we are the oldest management consulting firm. I won't exaggerate. So started out of MIT Boston. Professor Arthur Dehon Little was professor out there, and he established this company, a lab, in 1886 in Boston only.
Wow.
This was more kind of in R&D, and he could envisage that in the time to come, industry people will realize that there's a 360-degree viewpoint required. You will also require to innovate and do well. It started in 86, and then since then this company has been in establishment. It has its own life cycle, gone into difficult time, been bought over by someone else, but the brand has been so strong, it was not diluted gradually. Early, so I think, let me put things in perspective. I think in beginning of 2001 or sometime, the company was actually on the verge of bankruptcy. It was acquired by Altron, and then when Altron and Capgemini was merging, and they found that they were not doing really well as far as ADL part of the business is concerned. So few employees then, some consultant within the company, they bought the company back from the Altron. So this company today, if I may say, is actually an employee-owned company. So there are 6 consultants, or you can call partner or whoever. So 6 people, all alive, all still working. So they have invested their money and they bought back this company. Today we have our presence in more than 60 countries. When I speak with you, we have been in India, by the way, since long time. 1948-49, we were called by the then government. And we did a lot of work with the government, creating the governance structure and many more things. But for long duration of the work, ADL was either part of the Japan office or part of the Middle East office. And 2 years ago, Bonik Mehta, who's again former McKinsey guy, and he's from IIT, IIM Ahmedabad. So Bonik joined this company as a managing partner, and he came on board, and now we are focusing to rebuild ADL in India since last 2 years. I think the last year we have one amongst the fastest growing company. With regard to the size, with regard to the business size, with regard to the geographical presence as well. We do not do financial audit kind of work. Anything else under the umbrella of consulting is what we do. Arguably, we are one of the consulting firm who are also consulting people in the space sector as well. So R3D Little was part of the Apollo mission long back. And as I speak with you, I'm also working with a couple of companies who are into space sector.
Amazing.
So that's R3D Little. And we have, you asked me about a little more about company, how we look at. So we have a pretty clear concept of open consulting.
Correct.
Open consulting nowadays, I think most of people have started talking about it, but we have been doing it. So the focus is more on bringing people who come with the other side of experience, the operation side of experience. who give you a more insight. May not be great in terms of making a PowerPoint presentation. That experience of 20, 30 years, which having worked in the organization that you acquire, is something which is incredible.
Right.
We don't hesitate reaching out to people who have subject matter experience, because as a consultant, we might not be knowing everything. So that's the way we work. A very good team of external advisor also is with us. This is how we are working, Astos.
Fantastic. And I've got time for one more question. And therefore, I'm going to ask you this question, which is for the many, many viewers and listeners who listen to our conversation. For a person like you, Brajesh, who seems to have such an amazing spectrum of experiences, the corporate world, chairing India Uzbekistan, president of Athiri Little, an agropreneur, a photographer, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want our viewers and listeners to take away from your life's journey and from this conversation?
There are many lessons. I think let me try summarizing 3. First thing which I think which comes to my mind, Ashutosh, is that it's okay to fail.
Okay.
It's easy to say accepting your own failure, and it's easy to say please do that. But I think when you come into real practice, it's very difficult to accept your own defeat. But trust me, you are again professionally mature person. To younger generation, I would say fall well and rise better. Because your failure teaches you something which nobody else can teach you.
Correct.
And in your early age of your career, the more you fail, I think the stronger and the better you become. So it's good to fail. It's okay to fail, I think, and keep this to your heart. Many people I saw, they do not accept this. And I think particularly in the millennials and new generation, it is very challenging. They really, they find very difficult to accept the defeats and failures. So I think this is something which I would say. So you must fall, because if you want to rise, you have to fall.
That's it.
Fall well and rise better. Second, I think, which I've been a very strong believer, is that you put your skin into the game. You just cannot be a 9-to-5 person.
Yeah.
Okay. This is unfortunate situation now, because my recent learning in last couple of years have been, not everybody has got that shared vision. If you have someone in your team who share your vision with you, he will put or she will put the skin into the game. So if you want to grow within the organization or as an entrepreneur, you have to put your skin into the game. You do the job which you're actually expecting somebody else to do. Even if you don't do, you should know what he or she is supposed to do.
Right.
I think the time is now changing, and wherein even in consulting, the client expects you, how much are you putting your skin into the game?
Correct.
So be it in terms of your fees, be in terms of your senior management time. So second big thing which I personally believe, that you should know how to roll on the sleeve and do the job. Third, most easy but most difficult, is that your integrity and character. So I think my learning has been that you may grow faster. You can do a lot of things in career, personally, both ways. But it's very difficult to have a character. Normally we get confused with 2 things, and you'll come across people who have got very brilliant personalities, but their characters are different. So it's very good to have a character which is very, in sync with your personality. How you appear is what you are. It's good to have because we're rarely, very rare combination to have integrity and this kind of thing in today's time.
Well said. Well said. Brajesh, on that note, thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for sharing with me your amazing journey as the president of Athiri Little. And I didn't know that ADL is one of the oldest firms and has been present in India since the 40s. Thank you for talking to me about the India Uzbekistan corridor, about your journey as an agripreneur, and about what you're doing as a wildlife photographer, which is so important for each one of us to have, which is a passion. And finally, thank you for talking to me about the 3 lessons. It is okay to fail, have a little bit of skin in the game, and one's character or how one is perceived by the external world is very critical. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you for having me over here.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the brand called You Videocast and Podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.